Right, I think this recording, you'll notice we don't do any of this welcome to our channel bit or anything like this. Is just a general state of the world, number 6. Yeah, and everyone says, oh, please like and subscribe. Now, as much as we put like the money, if I was you, I wouldn't, because anything we say on here that's suddenly becomes sensitive to somebody, they will be looking for you as well, because you know what we've said. So I would not subscribe, or even like. Don't do anything. I mean, if you like watching it, then just remember where we are basically, or the first line of the, I think if you put Project X in, you'll get us up. But we're not interested in money, and as you know, you've probably read by some of the other videos, not in this series, but some of the other ones, we don't agree with it. And I don't know whether you've heard, I mean, I've heard John Lennon's song Imagine since I was a kid, since he first, you know, I think I was at school when it first came out. And but only the other day was I forced, so I don't normally listen to lyrics. I've had 4 or 5 different sound studios in my lifetime, and I was an instrumental person, I wasn't a lyrics person, because I couldn't sing anyway. So basically, anyway, in there it says you've got to get rid of the country system. You've got to get rid of, hang on a second, I can hear something. No. Country system, the monetary system, and religion. Now, all of you religious people who've had it drummed into you from an early age are probably jumping up and down, switching over, switching channels and all sorts. But it should really only be a way of life for you, not forcing it on other people. The religion thing. It shouldn't be, because children, obviously when a child is born, it goes into overdrive with its learning. It's part of the system for survival. So when you start talking about, oh, there's a God, you know, you say, oh, there's only one God. No, there hasn't been. There's been 4,000 and odd. You know, it's just different times in different times of the Earth's of human evolution, I suppose. But certainly, for millions, maybe, you know, for millions of years of us being here, religion has only just appeared in the last couple of... Now, you can't just say, oh, we suddenly discovered it. It's been made up by people to control groups of people, to control populations, by fear. Not because they want to be controlled. They had to do something, and it worked, and it made good people. But now we know better. Although it's still producing good people. Producing because they're frightened of going to hell. Right? So that's that. Monetary system. Money is kept as a single unit, be it $1, a pound, anything, so that it's storable. So that people who, in high places, who have got businesses, and I mean, we've seen how Facebook and Twitter and all those people have gone bonkers over Trump to get him out, even to the point of being criminal about it. Now, you'd think Facebook, for instance, if I was going to open a company like that, you do not want to be political. You need to be completely, should I say, not political in any way, for any party. You know, you can be yourself, but do not apply it to your business. Now, since Trump lost the election, or almost lost it, I'm not saying he has, I don't think he has, because I think it's a big scam. The whole thing is a big scam. In fact, it's put the whole thing about elections or voting into a huge muddy pit with all the other dodgy goings on. You know, I mean, if people can see, that's another problem with privatising things. They've privatised this Dominion voting system. Is a private company. They provide the voting systems for all over, pretty much all over America, and funnily enough, they've done Venezuela too. But they've done it so that they can control it. You know, this chap was heard, the owner of Dominion was heard saying, "Don't worry, I've fixed it to make sure Trump doesn't win." I mean, should that not be ringing alarm bells in the FBI and the CIA? Well, it doesn't, because they're into money and money laundering as well. So, you know, anything to do with money, they're going to vote for whoever. You could put a goat, which you almost have, a goat in the other party, and they'd vote for him, because they don't want their money controlled, which is what Trump was doing. So really, in order to get back to normality, you've got to get rid of money, which means the only other option is the Centre of Excellence system, which we've already talked about on one of the other subjects. So, state of the world. What have we got? Coronavirus. Now, as of today in England, we're on lockdown again. Now there's different levels of lockdown now, depending on how bad coronavirus is. But it's very bad. 500 and odd people a day dying. You know, many, many more people catching it. Now, I'm still in the China thing. See, everyone else is digging into the coronavirus and wondering what they're going to do and whether any members of their family are going to die, which, yes, is right. But I'm still looking at China. Now, if I wanted to, there's various ways you can control the world. One is do what Hitler did, and that's start invading countries, which obviously doesn't work now. And even after you've invaded them all, every single country will have a terrorist group, or what we call a resistance, which did tremendous damage to the Germans in France during the war. So that resistance will be in every single country. There'll be people who, even if you give everyone £1 million a day and let them have Ferraris and a big house and every single person, there'll still be somebody there who doesn't like being controlled by somebody else. Unfortunately, that's the country system. And we've had it over millions of years. We moved from Ethiopia, then we moved into groups. You had to protect your village area, because another village would attack it if you had something different, which is what's happened. America is attacking other countries because they've got the oil. So people say. You know, there might be a nice side to that where they really are helping, because if you look at America attacking people, generally the president of that country has asked them to, or has given them the go-ahead. So yeah. They call it war reparations for Iraq, and it's all payment in oil. But the oil price hasn't gone down. That's gone into somebody's pocket. You know, so as soon as the war's finished, all the major companies go in there for the rebuilding and for the armaments and for the restocking of bombs and all that, you know. But if you didn't have the country system, if we were all allowed to be ourselves, but go anywhere in the world, you can still be, because you were born somewhere with a place name, you can still be that person. If you want to be proud of somewhere, you know, all these people who say, I love America and all this, they had no choice whether they were born there or not. They suddenly arrived in America in a hospital, born as a baby. That's not choosing. So That's the problem too. Now back to China. You know, we've got to get our instincts out of our heads, which are all survival instincts. You know, living in a village and looking out to see whether someone's going to attack you or not is a survival instinct. And it was with us for millions of years, only the last couple of thousand years, where we've gone into this country system where we're now dead proud of our country, even if we've no choice of being born there, and we look overseas and we say, all right, he's getting a big army, we better do the same. Therefore, all the money again is a problem, gets dragged from the population. Put the taxes up, do whatever. Doesn't get spent on us, gets spent on war materials. So get rid of the country system, all that goes out of the way. We're allowed anywhere we like. Customs, no tolls for when you send a parcel abroad, no VAT, none of that. You know, we just get on with it. The same thing happens, you send a parcel, just that nobody looks at it. So, and they only look at it to see whether there's explosives or guns or drugs or whatever in there. You know, obviously because they don't want it in their area because somebody's trying to attack their country. But if it's all completely different, all the same, you know, England is just an area with the name England. France, just an area with the name France. You can still do exactly what you wanted to do, but just everyone's allowed everywhere. Now, the problem with that is you get countries which have gone completely downhill and the whole population decides to move on, and they move to somewhere like London, which can't cope, which, as we see, Syria is devastated. Everyone's moved to Europe. So all countries really have to be brought up to scratch. Again, that's a money problem. There was no money involved and people wanted to go home and rebuild their house. They get their mobile and they say, number 57 so-and-so street, please rebuild it. And it gets done. Then everybody there who did it gets to go to their centre of excellence. They don't get money as such. The other problem is with money, no work, no money. Centre of excellence system, no work means you've done all the jobs perfectly and everything's okay, bang, to the top. Top level. In other words, in old money, you're rich. It's only when a job comes in does that come down and you have to go and do the job, or one of you has to, allocated to your area. Factories. You know, every single place in a factory will have one worker, one reserve, and you're self-employed. You can come and go anytime you like, as long as there's someone else in there to take your place, who knows the job. And you will pass exams in that job. You won't just walk in and somebody say, oh look, you do this, you pull that lever. You know, we need people who know about the factory position, the machine, need to know, you know, they go to the factory and see the machine being built. That's the only way to know how good the machine is, or to know it inside out. You know, everything's up in the air. Back to China. If you were going to decided you wanted to be the dominating country in the world, quite a few ways you can go. One of them is how Soros and Rothschild and all that are doing it, and basically they're putting their money into things that make a fortune and put us in debt, so we're in control. As you can see, a lot of you probably have loans, credit cards and mortgages. And now the new things, equity release, much higher interest, although you don't have to pay a repayment, but as soon as you die, they take the house off you and sell it, get the money back. And payday loans, thousands of %. So yeah, they're putting their money into that. So they're really getting richer and richer. And, you know, I don't know whether anyone else can feel it, but the money seems to be draining out of the system, and seems to be being spent on things that are going to make more money, like office buildings and housing. You know, eventually with equity release, we won't all own our own houses. You know, I don't know how many thousand a day are going into the renting sector, but the rich people are buying them and renting them. So eventually, I don't know how many foreclosures there are in America and England. I think it runs into the thousands a day. You know, bit by bit, eventually we'll all be slaves, which a lot of people feel like that now. So China, they've got Institute of Virology at Wuhan. They've obviously been doing research in there. Judging by the Chinese government and the military, they will be looking for chemical and biological weapons as well. So don't ever tell me that that place is just for viruses and stuff. So what they've done, they've produced this virus and they've released it onto us. How they got it round the world that quickly, I shall never know. It's probably something to do with all going away for the new year. But who worked that out? You know, I'm sure they knew that that was going to happen, and keeping it quiet for 3 weeks, you know, was that a pride thing? They didn't want to tell the world what had happened? You know, I don't think so. What happens next is you get different mutations. So therefore, you get one thing, lockdown, goes back down again, next mutation, goes back up. The newest mutation can be caught quicker. So have they sent out another one? Or has this one mutated? But China seems to be doing very well, thank you. Doesn't it? Except thousands of us are dying. You know, if somebody had dropped an atomic bomb on New York and killed 2 million people, we'd be up in arms. This is a slowly approach, hoping we don't notice. That's what I'm worried about. Well, a lot of people in Project X are worried about it, including the intelligence wing, which is basically has got people in virtually, even I don't know them, has got people in virtually every agency. But we only use our intelligence within Project X. We don't tell you on here what we've heard, but I'm just saying what I think. Okay, I've heard a few things, but I can't say really. Right, 1 minute, let's find out where we've got to. I think that's 18 minutes. I'll keep getting this wrong because I can't see it. See, if I go to 30 minutes, over 30 minutes, I have to splice the two 30-minute segments together. So, right, a few questions came in. Don't know whether you can see them. Up in this corner, there's some figures. Now, this place used to be a warehouse for a company which had shops with comics, Japanese comics in, and Japanese figures. So we get, I'll get one of these down. They're all broken. These are all the broken ones they put in the office. But these figures are very ornate. They're very well painted. I think there's one bit's missing off that. Anyway, that's what they are. There's people asking me questions. They're anime figures. There's quite a few of them up there, but they've all got something missing or broken where the warehouse staff just brought them up and put them in here. Quite a few. Don't know what they're going to do with those. Yeah, so that was one question. Another question was if Project X is going to switch into its acting mode. At the moment we're dormant. As you know, we're basically here in case it was originally, in case there was another army waiting in France to come over, invading. Could have been the Russians, could have been the Chinese. Wouldn't have been France or Europe because we'd done the EU, but it was triggered by the Germans arriving on the French coast waiting to come over. And quickly, as you know, resistance was formed in this country. The SOE, Special Operations Executive. And so, cut a long story short, we've done the same. You know, we know where all the guns are, we know where all the explosives are, and there's another wing which I touched on in one of the other videos, which I can't tell you. I've tried to silence them again, but they've said to me, no, feel free to speak about it. But I'm not going to. We're still arguing about that one. So yeah, so State of the World number 6, not looking too good. But as you know, the virus has carried on because we've been allowed to mix again. The kids have gone back to school. Where we are down in Wales, they've actually let the tourists back in. Of course, they brought it with them. The place is... Whereas before, Aberystwyth Hospital didn't have a single case. Because when my mother was up there dying, I went up there a few times and there was nothing. They said, no, we haven't got any cases yet. And that was August. But now, apparently it's packed. So it's not good. Well, I can't think of anything else. Just to let people know about the equipment that we're using. Now I've only got one, I bought 4 lights, but I've only set up one, and that's that one. The camera has been brilliant, but then, you can hear me well. In fact, it's too loud. When I come up to have a look at the time, some people have complained that it's too loud. We get emails rather than we sort of, if I was you, I'd refrain from actually putting any comments, just in case your name comes up. We don't want anybody getting into any trouble, but if you need an email to get back to me on, it's at what shall I put here? We've got the whole domain name, so we could put YouTube. There you go. That way I know it's come from here. So, can you see that? YouTube at project hyphen, that's in the middle, a line in the middle, not the underscore, x.org.uk. Yeah, that'll get to one of us. Say whatever you like, say what you want done in the world, because there will come a time, we've got a list of things already. If we have to strike, we've got a list of things already, and we have the backing of, on the day that you see me, because I'm the spokesperson unfortunately, but the next 20 years I probably won't be here, so there's 3 other people. One knows exactly what I know, and he's dormant and has got a Project X number. The next 2 are being trained, So there's always, you know, if anything happens to me, I can be replaced within seconds of them knowing. So it's no good shooting me. But basically, yeah, everyone is behind. You know, everyone realises that there's a knife edge to go down. Any item dropping off that knife edge will cause our demise and has to be stopped. So that's the problem. Religion, country system, money. If it gets too much, you know, it's only governments that control the people. They shouldn't be controlling, they should be sorting out the countries for the better. Not feathering their own nests, like we see a lot. 26. They're there to, but what it seems to be happening, especially in England, as soon as they become an MP, they go into Parliament on the first day and they think, yes, I'm going to do this for my constituency, I'm going to do that, and everyone's saying, don't rock the boat, get your own businesses settled first. Sort out yourself first. You could not be here in 5 years' time. You might be voted out. So sort yourself out. Then they join all the clubs and you know, drink in Parliament's 3 different bars. Cheap drink. We don't get cheap drink out here. You know, it's all nest feathering. I've known quite a few, and my dad, obviously he was Foreign Office, so he knows quite a few people too, and didn't like it. He was Government Committee for Distribution Chairman at one stage and didn't like it. Didn't like going in there. Didn't like going in the Home Office. The Home Office is like, he said, it's like walking into a nest of vipers. So there you go. So, but anyway, they're behind us. Generally, it's only the top people who know what's going on, but they're kept informed by the various MPs. That we try to keep 100 MPs in the know. Sometimes after an election that goes down to 90 odd, but at the moment, last time I looked, which was ended last January, was 119 know what's going on. And know that, you know, and with the virus and a few other things, it's been very, very close to striking. And then there's a whole load of things that have to happen, including the country free, the money free and the religion free system. They'll all still be there in some form or another, but there'll be nobody controlling us. No governments controlling you in your country, no money controlling you, and no religion controlling you. So that's it. Okay, thank you very much.